Hi everybody, Meredith here again. Today I want to do another big book video, and I've done one previously, and I'm going to put that's going to be linked down below, as well as the previous video that I've made. So check those out. Okay, going on. This is going to be a video about books that I have picked up, knowing I'm going to love it, excited to read it, and then had a different response in the end. And then ones that I kind of was dragging my feet to read and then ended up totally loving it. So we are going to get started. So the first book that I have is Heidi. This is the traditional story of Heidi. I picked this up. I got a series of these books by, it's the Puffin books, but it's also by Rifle Company. Rifle Paper Company, and Rifle Paper Company is known famous obviously for paper and their metallic tones that they put over, and I just love them. I have a whole series of these books. They're classic books, and Heidi obviously was one of them. So, and I had never read Heidi, and I was interested in reading it. I just kind of felt like I'd seen clips from one of the movies, the one with Shirley Temple. Wasn't too interested in the movie as a kid. It wasn't like my thing, so I didn't ever really watch the whole thing. So when I picked this up, I was excited, but it was just kind of like, whatever, we'll start reading it. And I ended up really, really loving it. I love the story. I love the character of Heidi herself. In the book, she's well loved in the community. And you realize why. Like, I loved her. I was like, oh my gosh, if I ever had a daughter, I'd name her Heidi after this character. I just love her so much. She's so sweet. She's just an all-around good person. And one of the things that I look for in books is that if I want to feel like I'm in the scene. I want to understand the area. I want to see myself there almost as a side character or something like that. That's how I know I really enjoy a book, is if I really get into the scene of it. And Heidi does that. Like, you can see the Swiss Alps, and it's stunning and it's beautiful, and you can see yourself walking up those hills with her, and it just is amazing. And so I highly recommend it. Good wholesome story, good to read with maybe some older kids. Or have them read it. But I think this would be a really cool book to kind of read alongside with a kid. I just think it's such a good story, and I still don't have a need to watch the movie because I feel like I got the best of the best with the book. So again, this is a thumbs up for me, which started like when I first picked it up. Okay, second one is, and I'm wearing my t-shirt. I booked, or my weekend's all booked with Belle. This is Beauty and the Beast, Lost in a Book. Now, Beauty and the Beast, as you can see from my shirt, is one of my favorite stories and one of my favorite Disney stories for sure. And the library scene, like most women who love to read and love Belle, love that library scene because it's spectacular. So I picked this book up. This book came out around the time of the live action Beauty and the Beast came out. And I was really excited about it because I kind of wanted to keep reliving that movie, in book form. And what it does is takes Belle into that library, into the part where she finds the library, and she gets literally trapped in a book. She gets lost in a book. She goes into the book. And all your favorite characters are there, Lumiere, Cogsworth, all those. So I was really excited about it, but I did not like this. I think I like reading, I like watching that kind of stuff. I don't think I like reading it. And with getting lost, I don't know, it just was so, I don't like cliches. So I think the author, or whoever came up with the concept, was thinking, oh, women who like Beauty and the Beast like that scene from the library. Let's just keep going with that. Let's not, and come up with a new idea. Maybe what happens after the movie or something like that. But I don't really need to read it. I didn't get into the candlestick talking and all that in a book, but I can watch it in an animated movie. So this was a major thumbs down for me. I did finish it, but I don't recommend it. Next book was assigned reading in middle school, and it's Time Enough for Drums by Anne Rinaldi. Now this book, I understand why they do assigned reading in schools, but I think it's a horrible. Who loved assigned reading in school? Like, let's just be real. It was just a horrible, horrible thing. But when we got assigned this book in 7th grade, I couldn't put it down. I loved it. I loved it so much. It was even this, I think it was this cover. Look at him and his like mullet, sweet hair with the ponytail kind of style. Hello, sir. So totally dated cover. I mean, they should really update that. But what I loved about this book, so is during the American Revolution. It's about this girl Jemima and how she basically every man in her life goes off at war, and you really just kind of like learn about that time period through fiction, through a story, and it turns into a love story. So I won't say who because I don't want to give it away, but it turns into a love story, and it's such a like coming of age story, but historical fiction. And so I highly recommend it. I think it's good for somebody who is that junior high age all the way up to like my age, up to adult. Like you can totally, I reread this all the time when I'm just looking for something lighthearted and fun. The Revolutionary War is not very fun or lighthearted, but the love story is really cute. So I highly recommend it. What's a fun story about this is that, so I read this in middle school, loved it, could not remember the name of it, the author, anything. And I'm in this, I've been in this book club for years, and I was telling the woman who started it, she's an English teacher for high school, and I was kind of mentioning about the book, and she goes, "Oh, Time Enough for Drums." I said, "What?" And she goes, "Yeah, it's Time Enough for Drums." I'm like, "You don't understand how long I've been trying to figure this out." So sure enough, I went right away, grabbed the book, read the book, and fell in love with it all over again. And I've read it a couple other times since then and recommended it to other people who were looking for books for that age bracket as well. Again, read it as an adult. It's so good. So yeah, Time Enough for Drums by Anne Rinaldi. It gives a big thumbs up. One of my favorite books of all time. Okay, so the next book is Gary Janetti, Do You Mind If I Cancel? Gary Janetti is somebody I follow on Instagram. I find him hilarious. He's a writer for major shows. I think he's a writer for like Family Guy. I don't watch that show, but he's had a huge career in writing and television, and he's hilarious. Like I follow him on his Instagram account is making jokes about the royal family, and is just hilarious. So I like him as a person. I think he's funny. So when he was talking about he was putting this book out, I was so excited because I like these kind of books where they're chapter by chapter. It's a different story. And it's kind of like a memoir. But when I opened it, I looked at how small it was, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Because the book at retail is $27.99. So I did get it less than that because I bought it in, like when it first came out, and they'll always be a little bit cheaper, but still it was like over $20. And I'm like, that's such a ripoff. And sometimes I love when books are small because you can, get through them. But this one I was really disappointed. I'm like, that's such a ripoff. It shouldn't have been that much. It should have come straight to paperback, but whatever. And what I did not, I went in, I think, with too high of hopes. What I did not like of it is that the stories are they're not all over the place, but there's no, so he talks about the movements that happened in the 80s, him finding his partner and things like that, but there was no, like resolution for anything. There was no story. I just felt like it was just kind of bland. It was just kind of, okay, but tell me a story. Give me a beginning, a middle, and an end. Like, give me something. And it really lacked that. So, and I read reviews on Goodreads and the negative ones, and I agree on all of them. So I think he could have done better. So that's a thumbs down for me. All right, my last book is Ready Player One. Ready Player One was a book that we picked out for book club. And it was one that, again, my friend Kelly had picked. So what we do in our book club is that we'll select like 3 or 4 books if you're in charge of picking the book for that month. So if it was me, I'd pick out 3 or 4 books, and then everybody else would vote on which book of those we would be reading for the following month. So, of course, like there's times when people lay out the books and you're going, oh my gosh, that's the one. But sometimes I like to sit back and watch what other people vote, because sometimes that's when I find my favorite books are the ones that I would not have picked out on the shelf at all. So Ready Player One is definitely one of those. They decided on Ready Player One, and I'm like, okay, let's go ahead and do that. Basically what it is, it's a book set in 2044, and it's kind of in that society of where there's really wealthy people and there's really poor people. And it's Wade Watts, and what he does is it's a look to what could happen in the future. He lives in this like stacked trailer. It's almost like a trailer park, but they're stacked upon each other. And he lives up here, and he has a broken home, and how he comes home from, home, and he'll kind of go in there, and how everybody lives in virtual reality. So you put your headset on, you'll work in virtual reality and all this stuff. And he goes home and he'll put his headset on and he plays basically video games, but it's what I think of a non-video game player as just video games, but it's like a way of life. It's what people do. It's how you spend your life. You're living in literal like nothingness around here, but you live in this beautiful oasis. It's called an oasis, beautiful oasis in virtual reality. And it takes like metaphors and things like that from 80s music and 80s video games and puts it throughout and mixes it throughout. And he has to know those things to kind of achieve something in this virtual reality world. So you got to check that out if you really like those things. Now, I'm pretty non-knowledgeable about video games history and about 80s music. Yeah, I totally followed along and I loved it. Like, I felt like I was there. I felt like I wanted to go to the oasis. I wanted to escape, and you escaped into it with him. And then you find, the whole time this is so unhealthy. This is so not where I want our world to go. But it takes that idea of like, you watch people and they're so into their phone, and then me too, like so into our phones, and we don't see what's going on around us, or so into video games in this escapism kind of way, and we don't see what's going on around us. And it's really, really takes that and like amplifies it. And so it's really like you're thinking the whole time, this is so unhealthy, but I'm totally into this. And it has a great outcome, as most books do. But it says like the Huffington Post wrote, delightful Harry Potter. Oh wait, delightful the grown-ups Harry Potter. Yes, it totally takes you into this scene, this story. And this is one, I don't keep a lot of books. This is one I'm keeping for sure because I want to reread it over and over again. And I did see the movie after the fact. The movie came out just like probably a couple months after I read it, and I went and saw the movie. And I'm not a big like picky person when it comes to book versus movie. I just, they can only do so much of the movie. I did not like what they did with Ready Player One. And it says it was a major motion picture directed by Steven Spielberg. Not his best. It's not, maybe it's just I love the book so much, but I did not like the movie. I don't need to rewatch the movie. But I loved the book, and I will definitely be rereading that over and over again. So I hope that you, kind of maybe found a new book that you want to pick up in the future from this. And maybe, kind of reconsider some other ones. Maybe I don't really want to read those. I will link all of them down below because that's just my opinion. So you may love some of the other ones, and I'd love to hear what you thought down below. If you've already read them, let me know. If you haven't and are wanting to, let me know. I'm also linking my Goodreads account down below that has, I would love if you went on there and followed me and I could follow you back. I'm always looking for new recommendations, and I like to see what everyone else is reading. So check it out down below as well. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and and enjoy your next book. Bye.